Imagine a very big company. This company builds powerful rockets to travel to space. Now think about this. The company decides to buy a very big land and build its own city. It sounds like something from a science fiction story, but it is really happening today. This big change is taking place in Texas, a large state in the United States. The company is called SpaceX. Maybe you know its leader, Elon Musk. He is famous for his ideas about technology and space. SpaceX needed a special place to build and launch its giant rockets. They chose an area in South Texas called Boca Chica. This place is quite remote. It is far away from large cities and busy towns. Boca Chica is located right beside the Gulf of Mexico, near the beach. For many years, it was a quiet spot with nature and few people. SpaceX began building facilities in Boca Chica several years ago. They constructed large workshops, tall towers, and launch pads for their biggest rocket, named Starship. Slowly, the area transformed. Many workers moved there to help build and test the rockets. The quiet place became a busy center for space activity. You could see big metal parts and hear the sounds of construction. Now, SpaceX and the people working there have taken another big step. They wanted the area around the launch site to become an official city, and it happened. The new city has a name, Starbase. The workers who live and work in Starbase help to create it. For them, their workplace is now also their home city with its own name and rules. This is a very unusual and new idea in modern times. A private company focused on space travel is now also managing a city. This creates a lot of excitement. Many people are fascinated by the huge rockets launching into the sky. They think about future trips to the moon or Mars. But creating Starbase also raises important questions. What does it mean when one company has so much control over a place and the people living there? Is this a good path for the future? What about the environment and the public beach nearby? How will the city manage things like roads, water, and safety? Starbase is just beginning its journey as a city. Everyone is watching closely to see how this experiment unfolds. It makes us all think about what comes next. 2. A new town idea. Elon Musk started talking about calling the SpaceX place in Boca Chica Starbase around the year 2021. He had big ideas for the area. He later said Starbase would be the main office, the headquarters for his company, SpaceX. He thought thousands of people might live and work there in the future. SpaceX was already growing fast in Boca Chica. The company built large buildings to make and test its rockets, especially the very big Starship rocket. The government of Texas gave SpaceX money to help build its place there. This created many jobs. More than 3,000 people started working for SpaceX in this small part of Texas. Because so many people worked there, SpaceX started building things for them. It built roads and provided water and power. It even started a small school and a medical clinic just for the workers and their families. But SpaceX wanted more. The company felt it needed its own city. Why? There were a few reasons. First, SpaceX wanted to build things more quickly. If the area became a city called Starbase, SpaceX believed it would be easier and faster to get permission to build new houses, shops, and other places for its workers. They wanted to make the area a really good place to live. Second, SpaceX wanted to provide better services for all the people working there. The company was already doing many things a town usually does, like taking care of roads. As an official city, Starbase could manage these services better. Maybe it could add new services too, like parks or places for fun. The idea was to make life better for the employees and their families who lived nearby. Third, having its own city would give SpaceX more control. The company owned almost all the land and buildings in the area. By making it a city, SpaceX leaders could make more decisions about how things were run. They could decide about local rules and planning for the future. So, SpaceX decided to ask Texas to make Boca Chica into a city. In December 2024, a top manager at SpaceX named Catherine Luders, along with 2 other employees, prepared the official papers. This paper was a petition. They needed people who lived in Boca Chica to sign it. More than 70 residents signed the petition. Most signers were SpaceX workers or their family members. They gave the petition to the head official of the county, Judge Eddie Trevino Jr. The petition explained why they wanted a city. It said SpaceX was already managing the area like a town and needed city status to keep growing and support the important work on the Starship rocket. This was the first big step towards creating the city of Starbase. 3. The vote for Starbase. For Boca Chica to become a real city called Starbase, the people living there needed to vote. Texas has special rules for making new small towns. These towns are called Type C cities. First, people who live in the area must ask for a city. They do this by signing a special request paper. At least 10% of the voters needed to sign it. Some SpaceX workers signed the paper and gave it to the county leader, Judge Eddie Trevino Jr. The judge checked the request. He saw that enough people lived there to become a Type C city, between 201 and 4,999 people. Judge Trevino agreed and ordered a special vote for May 3, 2025. Who could vote in this election? Not many people lived in the area. There were only 283 people allowed to vote. Almost all of them worked for SpaceX or were family members of workers. Most of the land and houses in the area were owned by SpaceX. These workers and their families were the main people deciding if Starbase should become a city. On voting day, many SpaceX workers went to vote. Some wore shirts and hats with SpaceX or Starbase logos. The feeling was mostly positive among the voters. The vote count showed what people wanted. 212 people voted yes to make Starbase a city. Only 6 people voted no. Because most people voted yes, Starbase was going to become official. After the vote, the county judge had to make the result official. Judge Trevino said he expected this result. He said the county would work with the new town. When the judge signed the final order, Starbase became a real city in Texas. This new city now had the power to make its own local rules. It could collect taxes to pay for things like roads and water. It could also control public areas inside the city following state laws. People also voted for the city's first leaders on the same day. A Type C city in Texas has a mayor and 2 leaders called commissioners. They lead the city for 2 years. A SpaceX manager named Bobby Pedden won the job of mayor. Everyone who voted for mayor voted for him. 2 other SpaceX workers won the commissioner jobs. No one else ran against them. So the first government of Starbase City was made up of SpaceX employees. 4. Jobs and buildings. Even before Starbase became a city, SpaceX changed the area a lot. The company brought big economic changes. The state of Texas gave SpaceX more than $15 million. This money helped SpaceX build its facilities in Boca Chica. Because of SpaceX, many new jobs appeared. More than 3,000 people found work in the area. This helped the local economy grow. Now, SpaceX plans to build even more. It wants to create more jobs and make the area better for its workers. The company is building a new place with shops and fun activities near Starbase. This project costs $15 million. SpaceX is also building a very large $100 million building. This will be for offices and for making advanced parts. Elon Musk has said that maybe thousands of people will live in Starbase in the future. If more people come, they will need more houses. SpaceX knows this and wants to build more homes for its workers. The new city of Starbase needs money to pay for services. Cities need money for things like roads, clean water, and police. Starbase will get money from taxes. SpaceX owns almost all the land and buildings in Starbase, so SpaceX will pay most of the property tax. The new city leaders will decide the tax rate. Maybe later, the people in Starbase will vote to decide if they want a sales tax on things they buy. SpaceX was already providing some services before Starbase became a city. The company took care of roads on its land. It made sure there were water pipes and electricity. SpaceX even started a small school and a medical clinic for its employees and their families. Now that Starbase is a city, the new city government will be in charge of these things. The leaders of the new city are SpaceX employees. The first mayor is Bobby Petition, who works for SpaceX. He and the other leaders want to help SpaceX and its workers. They plan to make it easier to build more houses and shops. They want to create the services needed to make Starbase a good place for workers to live. Their main goal is to support SpaceX's work and help the community grow. 5. Beach and nature worries. Starbase City is built in a special place. It is very close to the sea, the Gulf of Mexico. Important nature areas are nearby. These areas include safe homes for wild animals and birds and special wet lands. This location causes some worries. Some people and groups are worried about protecting nature. In the past, groups said SpaceX's work harmed the land and animals near Boca Chica Beach. SpaceX had to pay money, called a fine, because it broke rules about keeping water clean. The company put dirty water into nearby wetlands. People worry that building Starbase City will cause more problems for the environment. A big worry is about Boca Chica Beach. This beach is public, meaning everyone can usually visit it. But SpaceX needs to close the beach and the main road, Highway 4, when it launches rockets. This is for safety. Now that Starbase is a city run mostly by SpaceX people, many locals fear the beach will be closed much more often. They worry it will be harder for families and visitors to enjoy the beach for fishing or swimming. SpaceX asked the Texas government to make new laws. These laws would give Starbase City the power to close the beach easily for launches. But many people did not agree with this idea. Environmental groups, local people, and Native American tribes protested. The Carrizo/Comecrudo nation said the land is sacred to them and has been used by people for a long time. Protesters held signs and went to the state government buildings. They wrote letters and spoke to lawmakers. Because of these protests, the Texas government decided not to pass the new laws about beach closures for now. However, people are still worried. As a city, Starbase might still find ways to limit access to the beach or nearby nature areas in the future. Other concerns exist too. People worry about clean water. SpaceX uses fuel and other materials that could dirty the water if not managed carefully. Will the new city government, run by SpaceX employees, make strong rules to protect the water? There are also worries about the noise and bright lights from rocket launches. These launches are very loud and bright, and they happen near where people live and where animals have their homes. Some local people just want the area to stay calm and natural, but Starbase means more building and activity. 6. What people think. Many people have different ideas about the new city of Starbase. Most people who work for SpaceX and live in Starbase feel good about it. They voted yes to make the city. They think having a city will make life better. It might make it easier to get things done, like fixing roads or getting water. They believe it helps SpaceX build rockets faster. One worker said it was good for everyone living there. Almost all voters who lived there worked for SpaceX or were family members. They were happy on voting day. Elon Musk, the boss of SpaceX, is very excited. He wrote online that Starbase is now a real city. He wants Starbase to grow much bigger. He hopes thousands of people will live there one day. He sees it as an important place for SpaceX and its plan to go to Mars. He even moved the main SpaceX office address to Starbase. But not everyone agrees. Some people who live near Boca Chica, but not in Starbase, are worried. They did not get to vote. They worry that SpaceX has too much power now. A few people who lived there for a long time voted no. They feel the area is changing too much. Other people protested near the beach. They held signs saying the beach should stay open for everyone. They worry the company will close the beach too often for rocket launches. Some people call Starbase a project just to make the company look good. Native American groups are also unhappy. Leaders from the Carrizo/Comecrudo nation say the land around Boca Chica is special to their history and culture. They worry that building a city there will damage this important land. They feel the company does not understand the land's history. They sent letters to the government to explain their connection to the area. Local government leaders have different thoughts. The Maine County leader, Judge Eddie Trevino Jr., said the vote result was not a surprise. He said the county will work with the new city, but he also shared worries about letting Starbase control beach access. He told state leaders that the county should keep control of closing the beach. Leaders from the nearby town of Port Isabel also opposed giving Starbase power over the beach. One county commissioner strongly disagreed with giving a company town police powers. They want to make sure the public can still use the beach. 7. Like old company towns. Is Starbase like the old company towns from long ago? Let's look back. In the past, big companies sometimes built whole towns just for their workers. This happened maybe 100 years ago or more. These places were called company towns. The company owned the houses, the shops, and maybe even the school. Everything was connected to the main business. There are famous examples. Pullman was a town near Chicago where they built train cars. The Pullman Company owned the town. Hershey, Pennsylvania is another example. The Hershey Chocolate Company built it for its workers. Some of these towns were planned nicely, like Hershey, but often the company had too much control over the workers' lives. How is Starbase similar to these old towns? The main way is that one company, SpaceX, is in charge. SpaceX built the place where people live and work. Most people in Starbase work for SpaceX or are family members. The company provides many important things for the residents, like roads and maybe medical care. The new city leaders all work for SpaceX too, so the company has a lot of power in the town. But Starbase is also different from the old company towns. It's a town for the 21st century. It is focused on new technology, like building rockets for space travel. Old company towns were usually built around factories, like making clothes or mining coal. Starbase is also being created now, in a time with different laws and ideas about workers' rights. SpaceX says Starbase is a community built for an important mission, like going to Mars. We can also compare Starbase to the big offices of modern tech companies. Think about places like Google or Facebook. These companies often build large places called campuses for their workers. These campuses might have food, gyms, and other services. It feels a bit like a small town. But these campuses are not real cities. They do not have their own city government or mayors like Starbase now does. Starbase has become an official city under Texas law. Some people think Elon Musk is acting like the powerful company owners from the past. They worry that one person or company has too much control. Others see Starbase as something new and exciting, a place to help reach space. Because Starbase is so unusual, people wonder if other big companies might try to do the same thing. If Starbase does well, maybe other technology companies will want to build their own private towns in the future. People are watching Starbase to see what happens. 8. The future of Starbase. Starbase is now a real city in Texas. What happens next? The new city government has important work to do. It is led by 3 people who work for SpaceX, a mayor and 2 commissioners. They need to make rules for the city soon. They must plan how to give services to the people who live there. These services include things like clean water, roads, and taking away rubbish. They might also need police or fire services. The new leaders also need to decide about taxes. People or companies that own land or buildings in Starbase will likely pay property taxes. This money helps pay for the city services. The government needs to make a budget. A budget is a plan for how the city will get and spend money. Because Starbase is very new and small, it might need help. It might make agreements with the county for some services. Many people and groups will watch Starbase very carefully. Environmental groups are worried about the land and animals near Starbase. They are also worried about the beach. They want to make sure people can still visit Boca Chica Beach. These groups will watch the decisions the Starbase government makes. Local news reporters will also write stories about the new city. Activists plan to watch city meetings and tell the public what is happening. They want the city to be open about its plans. SpaceX has big hopes for Starbase. The company wants the city to grow. They plan to build more houses for workers. They also want to build shops, restaurants, and places for fun. SpaceX hopes these new things will make life better for its workers. Elon Musk sees Starbase as a special place. He wants it to be a center for people working on the Starship rocket and dreams of going to Mars. Starbase is like a big test, an experiment. It is one of the first modern cities run mostly by one private company. People across the country and the world will watch what happens. Will this kind of city work well? Will it be a good place for people to live? What Starbase does could affect how other large companies build things in the future. The story of Starbase mixes big dreams about space travel with everyday town problems. SpaceX wants to reach Mars, but the city of Starbase needs working roads and clean water, just like any other town. The new city government must think about both the company's goals and the needs of the residents. The future for Starbase is not written yet. Its leaders will make important choices about taxes, building rules, and public spaces like the beach. These choices will shape the city. Will Starbase stay mostly a place for SpaceX workers? Or could it grow into a town with different kinds of people and businesses? Only time will show what kind of city Starbase will become. How do you feel about a private company building and running its own city like Starbase?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.